Hi everybody, I'm Wayne Jones. I'm the head of Librarian at Carleton, and we're here for another installment of Tell Me About Yourself. I'm here with Chris Shoniker, who's the data support specialist. Here in RSS, and a fairly new arrival here at Carleton. So, in the position, you're working closely with. Are you working independently, or are you working closely with one of the librarians?
I'm working with Jane Fry, who's our data librarian.
Right.
So we work together a lot.
Right.
Really trying to get students access to data.
Yeah. What kinds of things, like, is it a setup so that she would sort of give you an assignment, like ad hoc kind of thing, or is there a kind of regular routine of things that are your things?
I think for the sort of first couple of months, because we're sort of working through training and stuff like that, has been more sort of assignment based, and then at this point sort of leveled off to understand sort of my position more sort of separately from hers. I have my role, she has her role a bit more.
Right.
There's sort of some stuff in my background, knowing SAS and R, that allow me to do sort of more stuff with students and help them with coding and stuff like that.
So is that part of what you're, like, it's not as if you're, let's say, in a corner working on something, you're working directly with students and helping them with projects or with a certain, is that right?
In some cases, yes.
Yeah.
It's, right now, actually before I came over, it was sort of looking at a student's code, or I guess a postdoc's code.
Yeah.
That I was trying to do something with. Double checking that.
So that would be, I'm curious about the detail of that. Would it be where, like say a doctoral student or a grad student of any kind is doing something, and they used a certain software, but they want to check the results and they want you to look at it? Or is it that you tell them, well, here's how it works from A to Z, or how does that go?
It changes sort of by the student and what they're trying to accomplish. Sometimes I've had students come and kind of just ask some questions. I'm trying to do X, Y, Z. Can you just sort of look at my code and see if it's working right? In other instances, they're trying to do something very specific or difficult. That is sitting down and sort of explaining my methodology of how I code that.
Right.
Looking at that. And then also just providing them with different guides and different links to websites that can show them not only how to sort of accomplish what they're trying to do, but expand on that as well. So it's knowing sort of how to do stuff, but also knowing the resources available to them as well.
Of course,
sort of go out to help.
Offer them something that they would not have come across or known about already.
Yeah.
So what proportion would you say, just in a gross sense, in a ballpark sense, is that 40% of the work that you do, or a small portion?
It's maybe a little hard to gauge so far, just getting through the first semester for myself.
Right.
But it seems to be sort of picking up as the second semester is starting. Students sort of in full courses or doing thesis work, they sort of found their data that they want to analyze or look at in the first semester, and now they're trying to do it, and maybe now they're bumping into problems or they're not sure how to do that.
Right. So you might see that actually.
I think it's picking up, yeah.
It's probably the kind of thing too, maybe among grad students, where someone will talk, sort of like the Clairol commercial, someone will talk about, you can get help with that at the library kind of thing, and then it'll get spoken up, and people actually get that. Yeah, that's good. You were saying, which I didn't know, that you have actually, you've studied for 3 degrees here at Carleton. You've got a bachelor's, you've studied history, you've studied math, and you actually have a master's degree in statistics?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first degree was history and theory of architecture. And then from that, I sort of jumped into math and stats field. So working here, you get to learn from the faculty and how the courses are done, being a TA during the master's program. Sort of having to talk to students and what they might be looking for, trying to help them out.
Yeah. I'm curious about that jump. Like I, for example, I studied English and now I'm a librarian, and I eventually had to get a degree for that. You were studying the history theory of architecture, and then you went to math and stats. What happened there?
I got into a lot of sports analytics stuff, sort of as I was finishing my first bachelor's. And then I sort of thought I had to do a master's for architecture anyways. And as I was working after finishing the bachelor's, I just got over it. I sort of lost interest and found myself still going back to looking at NHL Corsi, expected goal values and stuff like that, and getting more and more involved with sort of hockey analytics and football analytics and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
It's been a lot of the sports side that drove me to sort of where I am now.
In a certain way, it's logical because basically, in the history, the architecture thing, there's something that has two aspects about it, and you may think that you're interested in one aspect, and you may well be, but then you find out, oh, the other side of it is something that's where my interest lies.
Yeah, it was a learning experience. So.
Where did you grow up in Ottawa?
I grew up in Whitehorse.
Oh, wow.
Bit of a trek from home for me now.
Yes. Trek the applicable word.
Yes. Northern community, and you learn to adjust to the cold a bit more, I guess.
Yes. No. Now you experience the balmy winters of Ottawa.
Yeah.
You've got it made here.
So I survived the first couple of years here anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Very good.
hasn't been too bad. Still adjusting to this freezing rain.
Yes.
New experience, but
Right. Doesn't happen a lot, probably, but dangerous.
yeah.
What's the other part, apart from you mentioned about the grad students and stuff, what are some other aspects of what you're doing, like like day-to-day work or month-to-month, or things that are part of your portfolio?
We get a lot of sort of, I guess, requests for data. Students or profs or anybody just looking for a data set or statistics about something specific. So we get emails for that. We go and search our database and see if there's anything applicable.
Right.
It has been so far a lot of writing sort of how-to guides and stuff on how to use some of our databases and repositories and stuff like that.
And posting that online.
Yeah.
And things like right.
I find a lot more with data, it's more of a longer process. So being able to make videos or how-to guides, and being able to direct the students to those, they're able to follow those along more rather than through an email chain or sometimes just a sit down
Interesting.
of trying to figure out what they're doing.
That's curious, because I could imagine anyway in some other discipline where a student would see a 4-minute video in their discipline and not want to be bothered with it. They'd want to just ask someone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah, I think it goes sort of hand in hand a bit, but maybe compared to other disciplines, it takes a bit more time to find what they're actually looking for. For a lot of the students, data is a bit new.
Yeah.
So when they come to you looking for like a data set, maybe they're just actually looking for like a specific statistic.
Right.
To sort of help with their research. So I find maybe they're not sure what they're looking for, so being able to provide them with videos just to double check with themselves.
Right.
Is this right?
I can see that it would be daunting in a way. It's sort of like if someone mentioned chemistry to me, you know, I don't know anything about it. It's sort of like you go, I go in as a complete ignoramus kind of thing, and when people start talking, perhaps for some of these students about data sets, you know, they don't know what maybe what does that entail kind of thing. Am I overstating that?
I don't think so. I think for coming from sort of like the stats background, it was a little bit different for me, and now sort of working with students from like the social sciences and stuff like that. You like students and people in general have sort of an adverse reaction to data, especially as the world's been churning out so much data and all this stuff with Facebook and Cambridge Analytica and all that stuff,
right.
News and
All sorts of things.
recording phone calls and the NSA, and Snowden, and all that. It's sort of been, I don't know how to say it, but there's a bit of a gap between maybe what students are expecting or a fear to jump right into statistics or data, not sure how to work with data right away.
Yeah.
So hopefully either my position or with the profs, there's a way to bridge that gap a bit.
Yeah. As a non-data specialist myself, or non-data, I mean, I find that very understandable that there would be that kind of gap, and that certain things that you're studying, you sort of can intuitively maybe know a little bit about it, and there's sort of a little path there that's already leading you. But I could see where with data, there's maybe a chasm that you have to get over to see, well, oh no, this is understandable.
Yeah. Like, a lot of it is maybe a bit of programming or background of that as well, and just it is a bit of a leap at first. I think when I started doing statistics, a lot of my friends were like, why are you doing stats? That was the hardest course. So I think the idea of like probability and statistics can be a bit abstract as well.
Right.
It's a little bit to sort of figure out and get a grasp of at first.
Yeah.
So when you're reaching students in social sciences that might not have this full quantitative background,
No.
that first course it's a bit of a shock.
I bet. No, I can easily imagine that. You mentioned also about profs. How much of your work, and maybe you just haven't been implanted here enough for this to happen yet, but how much of your work either now or will be about, I don't know, working in the classroom or, talking to profs to encourage their students to come and that sort of thing? Are there aspects of that?
There has been a little bit so far. I think with the position, it needs a bit more, and we want that outreach more with profs and getting the classroom to at least have students know that we're here. We have these sort of databases and repositories that you can go and search for data.
Right. Like,
Like students might know to go to like the library webpage, and if they're looking for a book, they can search there for a book. But they might not know that if you go to the library webpage, there's a link to our data site.
yeah.
They can search for data there. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So it is sort of getting our name out there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of, actually, that's I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's part of, frankly, not only your work, but that's part of what Jane is attempting to do too, to make this liaison, this middle thing between the library and whatever, the researchers, the research office, whatever it is out there, right? That's very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll go along with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because otherwise, a lot of stuff that we have access to doesn't get used, or frankly, as the head of the library, I extrapolate from that, and I don't want it to be that, the university or the faculty members or whoever think, well, there's nothing in the library delivery for us, right?
Yeah.
Everything is online kind of thing. That's sort of that aspect, right?
Yeah. It's, and yeah, just bridging some sort of gap to
Yeah.
have the students, either see myself or Jane in the classroom and know that there's some support staff to work with Dana that are there.
Yeah.
Outside the class.
No, I think that's super important. No, that's really good. Yeah. What kind of work did you do at StatsCan? What were you working on there?
So I was working along with the labor force survey, which is our sort of unemployment survey. I was there for about 6 months, and then it was a lot of trying to automate a lot of the processes. The goal was to add an element of AI, sort of artificial intelligence, that could understand sort of what day it was and what process should be run that day. To run the labor force survey, there's a bunch of steps that you have to do within it to sort of look at your frame of who you're going to survey that month, and then how to weight them, stuff like that. So it was a lot of sort of hard coding to develop something that could, you click to run, it would automate a lot of the stuff for you.
Right.
That was a lot of the work, and then it was looking at sort of bootstrap variance weights for a new imputation process for the labor force survey.
And is that a project you finished while you were there? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the sort of AI stuff was done. I don't know if it's being used, but you get StatsCan and you have people that have been there for 25 years. They don't like a lot of change.
Interesting.
So it's, I don't know if it's being used or not. It was done and they were given a tutorial on how to use it to do with it.
Although I was saying interesting is that somehow I expected, many workplaces are like that, right?
Yeah.
There can be resistance is even maybe too strong. There can be a reluctance, perhaps even a fear of doing things in a different way, or a mistrust, a misplaced mistrust of something that's been innovative, right?
Yeah.
It can be that.
So it was, yeah, kind of left on good footing. But,
Good. It's there for them to use. Yeah. Whether they're smart enough to take it up, that's their issue.
Do what you can.
That's right. And I asked one, I'm just curious actually, this is not a non-stats question, but about, and data, about what decision did you make when you were at Whitehorse and finished high school to say, come to Carleton? How did that work?
Well, out of high school, I went to the University of Calgary for a year.
Yeah.
And then didn't do great academically there. Drank and partied a bit too much, but after that it was looking to do architecture, and there weren't too many architectural programs in Canada.
Right.
I didn't want to sort of go to BC, and I didn't want to go to Toronto.
As cities, as provinces.
Yeah. And then Quebec and everything further east was too far.
Right. Do you
So
speak French?
No.
Yeah.
So Ottawa was sort of
Yes.
the furthest away from the family and to be independent without being too far away.
It's good to be independent.
When you grow up in Whitehorse, it's basically every university is some sort of flight away anyways. Right. So it's...
Is there there's no university in Whitehorse, right?
There's a small
college, right? Yeah. That's like a 2-year program certificate kind of thing, is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably like Algonquin.
It's not like Algonquin.
Okay.
It's not that vast. I think a lot of the programs, I don't know, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I think
But
it's a lot of more extensions of high school and stuff like
I
that.
see. Right.
pencils, I think.
But obviously something, if you had grander ideas, and if you were trying to be independent, that was not the place for
No.
you.
I'm not carrying out a master's of stats from the Yukon College.
You can always type one up and
Yeah, I guess so.
quite legitimately.
Yeah.
Anyways, nice talking to you. Thanks very much. Welcome to Carleton.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah, thanks.